How was your weekend?
Busy.
Did you get back in time
Yep.
Saturday? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. Like, I don't care. Like, my daughter did really good in one event. She did not do nearly as well as she could have in the other three. She did not have a good meet, but I don't care about that. I thought this was the state meet. Like, we're going to award the best.
Right.
In her age group, the 10-year-olds, they split them up into 6 age groups. Just the 10-year-olds, David. So we just give everybody a flipping medal. I'm talking to 2 dads after from Tampa Bay, and I just kind of walked over because the one guy had a Rays jacket on, and I'm like, been to a game in Steinbrenner yet? And he's like, not yet. Was going to go the other day and didn't go. And so we're talking. I go, how do they have any idea what disappointment is if everybody gets a medal for everything? And he's like, we were just talking about the same thing. As long as they get the money out of the parents, right? Yep.
Well, I don't know, AJC. I think he completed it. Just twice. Morning, baby Jules. Tim. Morning, everybody. Was pretty good, Empire. It was very compelling.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and we're always thankful that you start your week off with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I know there are some of you out there who don't like golf. That's a bummer, because that means you missed out on something yesterday that was, well, spectacular television, riveting, emotional television. How are you, Mark? How was your weekend?
My weekend was very good. A little time with the family. Daughter had a big gymnastics meet Saturday morning, but most of my weekend was spent watching the Masters from Friday afternoon, listening to it on my drive over to the other coast, and then watching all day Saturday and Sunday. And you described it very well. I don't know if you could have more changes of emotion for one golfer over the course of 5 hours. I don't know if I've seen much like that before, in which a tournament looked like it was over a few different times, only to have the leader attempt to cough it up over and over again, and then after doing so, making heroic shots to save himself. It was as wild of a tournament as I recall ever seen. It reminded me at times of Norman falling apart all those years ago, but then he would pull off an amazing shot, and Rory finally gets his green jacket.
I don't know where to begin. Has anyone ever won the Masters by making 4 double bogeys before?
Oh, God, no.
And there was a comment in our Twitch chat room about, well, Rory almost completed the choke. No, I actually think he completed it twice yesterday. Okay. In fact, Rory gave an answer to a question post-match, if you will, in which someone said, after Saturday, you said you were going to try to stay in your bubble. And with everything that was going on, okay, how did you prevent the bubble from popping? And he laughed and he said, oh, no, I think when I put it in the water on 13, the bubble popped. It's like, no, that was, no, the wheels came off right there. I needed a pit crew after that one. No. Yep. We haven't seen that in a while. 4 up with 8 to play, 3 up with 6 to play. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm trailing. Wait, what? It's all right. How about Justin Rose? He made 10 birdies yesterday.
David, I text you this and you didn't really respond. I thought it was the most unassuming 66 I've ever seen. I don't know if it was because of how they were, showing Rose and they were constantly on Rory, and you get a clip of Rose here and a clip of Rose there, and then all of a sudden Rose is back in the tournament and they have to show every shot he's hitting. But it was a weird 60. I mean, what a round for Justin Rose, but it was strange in and of itself.
Well, because also he's 7 under at the turn. All right. Rory birdies 10 to get to 14 under par. Now, I know Rose is 3 holes ahead of Rory, but I mean, Justin Rose is 7 back of Rory on the back 9, and for 10 minutes had the lead. And obviously, very compelling with everything that Rory was trying to accomplish, everything he had been through and put himself through over these last 14 years, going back to when he had a 4-shot lead entering the final round in 2011 and had a 1-shot lead at the turn on Sunday in 2011. And hit what many people feel is the worst shot in the history of the Masters off the tee in 2011 on 10. Ball ended up in a place where a ball apparently had never ended up before.
Basically should have been out of bounds, but they didn't have markers for it because the ball had never been there before.
Because they couldn't imagine that someone playing in the Masters would hit a ball here. But very compelling. Also, we like it when people show emotion. And Rory was giving us some.
Some?
He was giving us some. And I'm talking about just before he won. But tell you what, it's been a long time since a pro golfer was talking to a golf ball the way Rory was on 17 yesterday. That's the way we talk to our golf ball. Go. Come on, get there. Come on, get there. That's how us amateurs talk. That's not how guys who are tied for the lead on the 71st hole of the Masters talk to their golf ball. Mark, how did he put the ball in the water on 13?
David, I did something yesterday I don't ever do. And I'm terrible about this. And I've tried to make a point for this job that we do to get better at, because your memory's unbelievable. I can't even fathom how you remember the things you do. I don't have that. Too much alcohol in my life. But yesterday during the tournament, I was taking notes. I was writing for throughout the, I mean, I've got a whole thing on my phone of notes from yesterday's tournament, from Rory's body language on 2 after he made the par there and looked like he lost the tournament 2 holes in. And I know you love watching the body language. I'm like, you're only 2 holes in, dude. Don't act like it's over. I mean, that's why the slew of emotions that he had over the day was amazing to me. But here he is, 86 yards. 86 yards on 13.
This is the best player in the world right now. He's got 86 yards.
He's got a flip sand wedge. I mean, he's hitting probably a 56-degree wedge there. And all he's got to do is lay it anywhere on the left side of the green. We've all watched how the ball rolls there. The one place you cannot be is right of the flagstick. He hit that shot, David, that had to be 20 yards right of target. Had to be.
I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to explain to my wife. I'm like, you have no idea how bad a shot this is. And, she's, oh, you're exaggerating. No, I really don't think I am. No, I'm thinking like it's the second worst shot in a big-time moment in Masters history. Only Hoke missing the 2-footer to win right now jumps out at me as a worse shot than this. I'm like, honey, can we look out the lanai? He had to go from here to here. Okay, right? You see this? And he put it in the water. Oh, my goodness.
I couldn't believe it. And my mom was over. She loves the Masters. My wife, and they're both rooting for Rory. I'm not. This just in. But I even said to them, I go, look, at either way, I win here. If Rory wins, it's history. I love watching historic things in sports. He's going to win the Grand Slam. So I'm not bothered if he wins. But how the hell do you miss the green from 86 yards and hit it in the water?
I don't know.
After he already got a hell of a break on 11.
Right?
In which he tries to hit a low shot. I'm right there. The shot on 11. I told everybody in the room, told my wife and mother, I said, he's going to bail this out. He's going to be short right. You've got to be short right here. You can't try to get on the green because the water's there. And what you can't do here is hit it in the water. And the ball damn near went in the water. I was just befuddled at that point.
And you know me, thinking about all of these things in the past, because I complicate my mind during these great sporting events instead of sometimes just sitting back and enjoying the greatness for itself, because it didn't need any references. But I text a buddy of mine and I said, this has got a lot of Phil at Wingfoot right now. I go, he's trying really hard. He's trying really hard to screw this up. Man, oh man. I, at one point, thought to myself, well, he'll never win this if he doesn't win today.
No.
I mean, this is it. And I know he only turns 36 next month, but I'm thinking to myself, oh, no, he's done here. I mean, he's done here. He might as well not play if he doesn't get this horse into the barn here. But at one point, we had a 3-way tie for the lead. Hell,
as someone with an Oberg ticket in his pocket, I started rooting hard for Ludwig there, but he fell apart.
Ludwig had a 15-footer on 16 for the outright lead. My goodness.
It wasn't pretty at times, and at others, it was epically beautiful. I've never seen something quite like that, where there was greatness and disaster looming on nearly every shot by so many players.
Oh, I just thought you were talking about Rory.
I know.
Man, oh man. Well, that was fun. I got to tell you, you make a 5-hour commitment to the final round of a golf tournament. You take the slings and arrows from family members, kind of like, really? You're going to devote 5 hours to this and not spend time with us? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That's up there. I mean, honestly, when we talk about final rounds at that tournament, we're going to talk about 2025. They talk about 75, they talk about 86, they talk about other collapses and what have you. We're going to talk about 2025. And with good reason. But Rory got it done. History was made. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David
For
Moulton.
over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton. You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Whit Watson will join us a little more than an hour from now, get his thoughts on the Sunday afternoon and early evening that transpired at Augusta. And Russell Smith, part of Fox Sports Knoxville, will join us in a couple hours' time. How about that story, huh?
That had been, I mean, obviously the golf was what we were paying attention to over the weekend, but for you college football fans and USEC football fans, and, well, those of you interested in the NIL world, it all came to a head over the weekend in Knoxville, where their starting quarterback was sitting out for more money, and Tennessee told him to go pound sand.
Well, but it also sounds like Tennessee thought they had a contract, a memorandum of understanding. I mean, Tennessee kind of thought he was going to make $2.4 million this year. And the kid decided, no, I think I want $4 million. Tennessee went, as Shaq would say, excuse me. And next thing you know, kid holds out. And once he held out and skipped, spring practice or what have you, Tennessee was like, oh, we're done with you. And I don't think they have a replacement for him yet.
No. And he's not going to get anywhere close to $2.4 million anywhere else at this point. Because if he would have done this in January, when all of the schools had their full allotment of money to give to players, he could have left. Now he's leaving in the spring transfer window. And it doesn't appear that there's a lot of money left out there to get him. Although I've seen a couple of dark horses from those prominent Big Ten schools, USC and UCLA.
Here's what I liked, and I have to admit, I'm usually pretty good with pronunciations. I don't know how you pronounced Nico's last name, but I know how you spell it. And I do think that the spelling is appropriate here because Nico, the now former quarterback at Tennessee's last name, was spelled Iamaleava. Well, Mark, I'm sure it's not pronounced this way, but it sure does look like Nico, I am a leaving.
That was one of the best memes that popped out over the weekend that had those exact words on it. This is, as I heard it described this morning, a masterclass on how to not negotiate. And a lot of this was his dad, by all accounts. The dad told the son what he was worth. The son wasn't worth what dad thought he was.
So 2.4 wasn't enough, huh? I mean, I don't know about you, Mark, but 2.4 goes a long way in Knoxville.
Well, not to mention when you start breaking down what he did against top 25 teams.
Right.
Because his numbers were pretty average to be getting $2.4 million.
Right.
I thought the kid had a pretty good deal.
Yeah. He negotiated that deal based on potential, not necessarily based on what he had actually done. But
People in Tennessee let him walk. And as David said, they do not have a replacement.
Nope, they don't. But they figure, well, we just stumbled upon $2.4 million. We'll find somebody. Somebody I know will want to play here. We're a top 20 team. Okay, somebody will want to play quarterback here. We'll find somebody. Doesn't the spring portal open Wednesday?
It does.
Yeah. Come on now. You and I wanted this. We did. We said 5 years ago, listen, if they do things the way we want, all right, where the kids get paid, there's going to be a 5-year period of time where it is going to be the wild, wild west. All hell is going to break loose. It's going to be unseemly. People aren't going to like it. Don't know what to tell you. We need to shift the system to the other side, and there's only one way to do it. But this is nuts. I mean, everybody, by the way, everybody is now adopting the Miller and Moulton solution and then saying, comma, but no one will do it.
So Darren Heitner, who's been on the show many times, he's an attorney. He is in the NIL world. He does not represent players per se, but he does look at their NIL contracts for players and agents to make sure the compensation and everything equals out. He's really smart when it comes to NIL. What could prevent players like Nico from holding out? Recognizing them as employees and negotiating a collective bargaining agreement, the very thing that schools have resisted. A CBA may include heavy fines for a player who fails to report, restrict their ability to transfer, void guaranteed contracts, clawback money's already paid. This would be all be negotiable and enforceable, immune from antitrust scrutiny. It boggles my mind that the NCAA, conferences, and schools continue to fight so hard against such a system.
I don't know why. This is the only solution to reining costs in, to getting some assurity that, the kid's going to stay more than an hour and a half. Okay. And yes, I do think, by the way, there should be some compensation. When the basketball player leaves the Lipscombs of the world to go to the Kentuckys of the world, I don't know. Can we give the Lipscombs of the world something? Okay. How about this? And I'm not kidding. How about this? How about the Kentuckys of the world have to play a road game at Lipscomb? How about just that? That's all we give them. You want to take one of my kids? Fine. Good for the kid. Kids deserved it. By the way, in 2 years, you got to come and play a road game here. You don't think that'd be good for the small colleges of the world in which all of a sudden the big boys got to show up and play a game? Oh, what's Alabama doing here? Oh, remember they took our point guard 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was stunned at how many people have come around, literally because of this, have come around and started talking about collegiate athletes being employees. This is what it took for people to at least open their eyes to it. I don't think it will happen anytime soon. I don't. I think the point that Heitner makes, the resistance by the schools and conferences, is too great to make something like that happen in the short term. But I do think momentum for it started over the weekend.
I think they're taking their shot in Congress first. They're looking for antitrust exemption status, and they should not get it. If they do, it would be a disgrace. It really would. They shouldn't get it. I hope Congress doesn't give college athletics antitrust protection. But I think they're going to take their shot there, Mark. And to me, I don't know why the big boosters on these campuses aren't saying, could you make them employees so that I know what my costs are going forward? Because in 2 years, do you know what my costs have gone from? I can't keep affording this, which means neither can you. But yes, the Tennessee quarterback got up and left because he wasn't making enough money. And by not enough money, we mean he was making $2.4 million.
And he wanted $4 million. He wanted his salary nearly doubled for pedestrian numbers. all based on potential. The starting five, that's next.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
The United States Congress is for sale? What?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
At 22 minutes till the top of the hour, Whit Watson will join us 1 hour from now to get his thoughts as someone who covers golf for a living on the final round of the 2025 Masters, where history was in fact made. Russell Smith will join us from Fox Sports in Knoxville to talk about the, when you have a contract for a quarterback, only one side walks out on the contract, and now what do you do? And when is $2.4 million not enough to play 12 games at Tennessee? It's $200,000 a game. I digress. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Mark, I want to see if I got this correct. Okay. Rory won the Masters, then he lost the Masters, then he won the Masters, then he lost the Masters before winning the Masters.
The only perhaps correction I would make is that he won the Masters, then he lost the Masters, then he was going to walk away with the Masters and be coronated on the back nine, then he lost the Masters again.
Oh, see, I just picked it up with the coronation.
Okay, fair enough.
That he's, 4 up after 10 and they're 3 up on 13. That's, so that's where I picked it up. See, that's where he won the Masters, only to lose the Masters, only to win the Masters, only to lose the Masters, and finally he won the Masters. All right. Mark, it's amazing he only gets one green jacket, because in a span of about 2.5 hours, I thought he lost it twice and won it 3 times. But officially, Rory McIlroy, with a birdie on the first playoff hole, beat Justin Rose to capture his first green jacket, and with it, completing the career Grand Slam. And I don't want to say it's tough to do, but A, first off, only 6 men have ever done it, but B, only one's done it in the last 55 years. The 5 others to do it, you may have heard of their names if you pay attention to golf. Sarazen, Hogan, Jack, Gary Player, Tiger, and now Rory. Congratulations. 3rd time Justin Rose is runner-up at Augusta. 2nd time he loses in a playoff. Sergio beat him 8 years ago for his only green jacket. As McIlroy had a 4-shot lead with 8 to play, then a 3-shot lead with 6 to play, only to then be tied with 5 to play, only to then be trailing, only to then birdie 15 and go 1 up, only to then birdie 17 and go 1 up, only to then have 122 yards and a wedge in his hand, just needing to hit the green to win the Masters in regulation. And of course, he put it in the bunker and couldn't get up and down. Rory said afterwards, most nervous round of golf he can remember. He said but he said, I was nervous from the first tee. He goes, I was just really nervous. He goes, the funny thing is, the double bogey on 1 actually calmed me down. And he said, I was doing okay till I put it in the drink on 13. Justin Rose shot an amazing 666. Think about how he bookended this tournament with 65-66. Patrick Reed finished 2 shots back in third. Scheffler finished 3 back. How about Scheffler? So when Scheffler's done and he puts the green jacket on Rory, don't you think he has a drink on the veranda and he says, man, I finished 3 back in 4th place and I think I brought my CC plus game here this week?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that he looks at that and goes,
I didn't play worth a damn.
not worth a damn.
I had large stretches where I couldn't make a thing. I had large stretches where I couldn't hit greens. And
he didn't hit his irons well. I mean, for
No.
the guy who's the best iron player in the world, he did not hit his irons worth a damn.
Sungjae Im and Bryson DeChambeau. And DeChambeau did not play well on Sunday.
He
Even
sucked.
when
He choked. He was terrible.
Well, I don't know if he choked or he just wasn't very good. I mean, because he wasn't outside of when he got off to a pretty good start, hitting the ball first 2-3 holes, but he putted for as well as he putted Saturday. He did not putt well yesterday.
He putted horribly.
Yeah.
For him to look at the greens were a lot. No, everybody played the same greens, and you're blowing every putt 6-8 feet past the hole. Sorry,
Right.
Bryson, that's on you. You putted horribly yesterday.
He said he'll learn from it. The whole back 9 on, final grouping of the Masters on Sunday. He said it is different. Yes, it is. By the way, did anybody during the course of the weekend, though, watching, whether it was DeChambeau or Patrick Reed or anybody think, boy, it'd be nice to have these guys play with the other guys on a regular basis? No? Anybody miss these guys?
Rory didn't. By all accounts, he didn't say a word to DeChambeau for the entire round. And that comes from Bryson DeChambeau.
Right. The NBA regular season ended yesterday. How many of you were aware that the NBA played the regular season this year?
Had it on all day yesterday on TV, too.
So Atlanta beat Orlando, but it really doesn't much matter because, well, they're going to play in the play-in, and Orlando's going to host the game tomorrow. The Heat got beat at the buzzer by Washington. Really doesn't matter because they were locked into the 10 seed, and they're playing Chicago in the play-in on Wednesday. In the Heat's case, they have to win twice. They have to win that game and then win Friday just to make the quote-unquote playoffs. So Denver beat Houston. In fact, the Nuggets haven't lost since they fired their coach and GM. And Denver's the 4 seed. They'll take on the Clippers, who won in Golden State yesterday, 124-119, and it dropped the Warriors to the play-in. Golden State's now the 7 seed, and they'll be hosting Memphis tomorrow. So Orlando hosting Atlanta tomorrow, Golden State hosting Memphis tomorrow. The 2 teams that win tomorrow enter the playoffs as the 7 seed, which means Orlando, if they were to win, would play the Celtics, and Golden State, if they were to win, would play Houston. Sacramento is the 9 seed, thanks to beating Phoenix by 11, and they will host Dallas in the play-in on Wednesday. Mavs lost by 35. Portland decided to give a contract extension to Chauncey Billups. Blazers actually finished the year really well. Just missed out on the playoffs. So here's the seeding. OKC's the 1, Houston's the 2. Lakers are playing Minnesota in a 3-6 matchup. And Denver's playing the Clippers in a 4-5 matchup. Cleveland's the 1, Boston's the 2. Knicks are playing Detroit in a 3-6 matchup. Indiana's playing Milwaukee in a 4-5 matchup.
And you'll catch that Indiana-Milwaukee series on NBA TV.
NHL, 7 playoff spots officially clinched in the East. Canadians 2 points away from clinching the final wild card. Canadians lost in overtime over the weekend. Columbus making a late run. The Blue Jackets beat Ovechkin and the Caps 4-1. Ovi did score number 896 yesterday. There are 6 playoff spots secured in the West. 3 teams fighting for the final 2 wild cards. Calgary's made a big run here. They're 2 points behind St. Louis and 3 points behind Minnesota. Both those teams only have 1 game left, while Calgary still has 2. Obviously, Minnesota and St. Louis control things, but if they screw it up, Calgary, by winning out, could steal a playoff spot. Lightning beat the Sabres 7-4. They're 2 points ahead of Florida for the 2-3 tiebreaker. Meanwhile, Toronto's a point away from clinching the division title. They beat Carolina 4-1. College hockey over the weekend. Congratulations to the Broncos of Western Michigan. They won the Natty. They knocked off defending national champions Denver in overtime in the semis and then dominated BU 6-2 to win the national title.
I thought it may have been their first ever natty, so I had to look it up during the game, and it was not Western Michigan's first ever national championship in hockey, but they won back-to-back cross-country titles in 64 and 65, so way to go, Broncos.
Look at you doing the research. That's impressive. By the way, I don't know if anybody noticed on Thursday night when Western Michigan and Denver went to overtime, there were like 300 people in the stands in St. Louis. Can you move the Frozen Four to Tampa and get over it already? The place would be packed every second of every game. You know, and the fans would go to the beach. I digress.
And thank goodness for the Western fans for the championship, because that's who was there for the game against BU. That crowd was dominated by Western Michigan fans, not BU fans.
Baseball, Junior Caminero with a homer. Rays took 2 of 3 from the slumping Braves, 8-3. Marlins took 2 of 3 from the Nats, beat them 11-4. Giants took 2 of 3 from the Yankees, beat them 5-4. Mets are in first in the East. They shut out the A's 8-0, while the Phillies got shut out by the Cardinals 7-0 and lost 2 of 3 to St. Louis. The Cubs won a series in LA against the Dodgers. Pete Crow Armstrong with 2 homers yesterday in the 4-2 Cubs win. Reds held the Pirates to 2 hits, got back to 500 in the 4-0 win. Blue Jays over the Orioles 7-6-10. Crochet with 11 strikeouts to beat his former team. Boston over the White Sox 3-1. KC snapped Cleveland's 5-game winning streak 4-2. Twins snapped the Tigers' 3-game winning streak 5-1. Did you see how bad the crowds were, by the way, in Minneapolis? They did like 13,000 on Friday night, and they did like 15,000 on a Sunday. These are some of the smallest crowds in the history of Target Field. Another fan base telling its ownership, we're not happy with you. Seattle swept Texas 3-1. Houston 5 in the second to beat the Angels 7-3. Arizona's won 4 of 5. They beat Milwaukee 5-2. And Mark, not only did the Padres sweep the Rockies, they didn't give up a run. They won yesterday 6-0 after winning 2-0 and 8-0 the 2 games previous. 3 straight games without scoring? My goodness. NASCAR, they were in Bristol. Kyle Larson led 411 out of 500 laps. I'll bet that race was very entertaining. Denny Hamlin finished second. Ty Gibbs third. Our buddy Ross Chastain was 7th. And did you see Tony Stewart won an NHRA race yesterday? Unbelievable that he'd still be racing. Never mind, he won.
David, one of my favorite things about Monday morning is for you to give me my motorsports update, because I purposefully don't pay any attention to any of it. And I can genuinely tell you that I'm surprised when I find out who won the race and that Kyle Larson led 411 laps, because I didn't watch a lap nor care about a lap.
And as we mentioned last segment, Nico, I am a leaving, and that's not how you pronounce his name, but that's how we're going to pronounce it from now on. Nico, I am a leaving, left Tennessee as their quarterback because he was only making $2.4 million and his dad wants him to make $4 million. Well, what dad doesn't want their son to make more money? There's just one problem. It doesn't look like anybody's willing to pay him the $4 million. But then again, the spring transfer portal opens on Wednesday, so we'll wait to find out. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting five. 5 big stories, and Nico, I am a leaving, that you needed to know about here on Miller and Moulton.
I am a leaving.
Yep.
We hope you aren't a leaving, because the show is just getting going. Whit Watson will join us next hour to talk about the Masters, and Russell Smith to talk about I am a leaving here on Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839, or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
We get a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's funny, Robes. So pulling the cart with his phone in front of his face. Johnny Fingerlegs, Justin who? I mean, Thomas? No. Oh, okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And if you took in the Masters, well, then you had a great weekend because it was a truly great tournament. It was great theater. It was great drama. Like, I thought Nance got it wrong. You know, he called Rory's masterpiece. Not a masterpiece.
No,
obviously.
Not a masterpiece. Now, I mean, no offense. He was, what, 1 over par for the day. That's not a masterpiece.
You know, 2 doubles and falling apart twice on the back 9. I mean, not a masterpiece. I will say, though, and Nance and the broadcast team, but most importantly, director Steve Milton and producer Sellers Shy, all right, after Rory won and Nance said whatever it is he said, for the next 7 minutes, virtually no words were spoken on that broadcast. It was just Rory and his emotion and the reaction of those around him. It reminded me a lot of when Ripken was doing the lap for breaking, 2130 there and breaking the record, in which Chris Berman and company didn't say a word for 15 plus minutes. I mean, have you seen a professional golfer show that much emotion before?
No. Maybe, a little bit we saw, when Tiger won his first, hugging his father. That was an outpouring of emotion that I will always remember watching golf.
Right, when he was in Dad's arms and
Yes.
his mom, who just recently passed, was gently rubbing his back as if to say, it's okay, son, it's okay. But I mean,
I thought, and look, Nance is a pro, don't get me wrong. I thought Nance in Butler Cabin was getting really emotional. His voice sounded to me like it was damn near cracking when he was going back and forth with Rory there. I mean, I was kind of listening going, is he getting emotional here? And Jim Nance never does that. He's a pro. I thought Nance was emotional in Butler Cabin, which I thought was surprising.
I thought the pictures that CBS produced were amazing. I also find that they're showing us more of the course. They're putting cameras in places where we've never had cameras before. Okay. Now, Augusta has to give them permission. I mean, they don't just do something and all of a sudden Augusta goes, hey, what was that shot on 12? No. But still, Augusta's allowed them to mount some cameras in bunkers, okay, with the use of drones. All right. I thought, Mark, remember we were talking last week as the tournament was beginning, and I said the only shot that I don't think they do a great job showing us is how much of a postage stamp the 15th green seems like from 220 to 250 yards away. I thought that they got around to the side. They went up in the air. They showed us how the landing area here is not very big, which also puts Rory's shots on Saturday and Sunday into perspective.
Re-damn-diculous.
Oh, my goodness.
Re-damn-diculous.
Tell you what, though, I had never noticed it before. I had never noticed that Rory walked in a shot before. But on Saturday, when he's walking in that 6-iron, I'm like, well, this is really good. Look at him. He's walking after it. So when he hits the shot on Sunday on 15 and he's walking after it, I'm like, oh, this is good. I can just tell he's walking it in. Yeah, those two approaches. Oh, my goodness. What, we're each to like 4 feet?
Unbelievable. But then, I mean, let's be honest. After he hits the shot that he hits on 15, that was a miserable putt.
Awful.
Didn't hit the hole, didn't come close to the hole. Was a very fragile putting stroke, if you will.
And I thought it was quick, too. I thought he got up there quickly. And, yeah, I mean, he was, for most of the last hour, he hit amazing shot after amazing shot. You know, great drive 6-iron on 15. Terrific approach shot on 16, where he had like 12 feet for birdie and just missed. I mean, obviously, the 3-wood and the iron into 17.
I mean, it was wild because after he makes the bogey on 11, where he nearly hits it in the water,
right?
He gets on 12, and I'm probably like you, and I don't know how many of you watching do this, and I'm guilty of doing my own play-by-play in the house to my mother and my wife. And I just said, you hit it at the trap. If it goes in the trap, fine. If it goes in the back trap, fine. If it goes on the green, fine. You don't mess with the pin here. Rory had lunch with Jack. Jack told him that's where he hit it. You know where Tiger hit it all the times he won? He hit it right there. Do you know why Tiger hit it there? Because that's where Jack hit it. And Rory plays 12 the way you're supposed to play 12. Plays it perfectly. Doesn't go at the pin, makes his through. I'm like, all right. And then he gets himself, after not being able to go for 13 and 2, gets himself into a perfect spot to hit the wedge and proceeds to hit it 20 yards right of target.
Unbelievable.
That's a shot that a 10 handicapper would get upset hitting.
Yes. To miss the green from 88 yards when there's 15 yards of green left of the pin and the whole green slopes towards the pin. It's okay to hit the ball 10 yards to the left of the pin. The slope of the green's going to leave you about 15 feet for birdie. It was a staggeringly bad shot.
And he's missing putt after putt, you know, struggling, and then hits that shot on 17.
And then pipes a drive. And you're like, well,
he's
okay.
Perfect. I mean, he's perfect on 18. Again, 123 yards away from the green. That's a sand wedge for these guys.
Not only that, a green in which the middle of the green's got a backboard. Just throw it on the green. The backboard will suck it back to the pin. Okay, depending on where you are on the green, you'll have anywhere from 3 to 20 feet. 2-putt, win. It's over.
And then he hits a really good, after missing that shot badly, right, hits a great shot out of the trap.
tremendous
A great
bunker shot.
And it wasn't a hard bunker shot for those guys. The downhill, sloping towards the hole, he's just got to get that on the green. The rest of it's going to run out. It does. He doesn't hit the damn hole on 18.
From 4.5 feet.
By the way, if you're a golf guy out there, how good did TaylorMade do on that bag? TaylorMade, I'm waiting for Darren Ravel to tell me what TaylorMade's money earned during that Masters was of showing Rory's bag that many times. That beautiful green bag with TaylorMade across from it. Thought they got their money's worth.
Now, for as much as I just praised the pictures that CBS provided, anybody have trouble with the announcers? I mean, they were openly rooting for Rory.
Oh, yeah.
Openly. Anybody have a problem with that? Here's the one thing, and CBS isn't the only one to do it, too. NBC does it as well. I nominate a new drinking game if you're watching golf. There's a new drinking game. Whatever it is they say when giving you the synopsis of the shot pre-shot, like when Immelman will say to Dottie, can he hit the green from here? No chance. Okay, best he could do is place it right in front of the green and try to get up and down. Right. Boom, get your drink ready. Okay, they're putting it on the green. When they're chipping from around the green, okay, he'll be lucky to get this within 15, 20 feet. Get the drink ready, 4 to 6 feet for par. All the damn time.
I never understood Saturday and Sunday when Rory did hit it squirrely off the tee. That he's got to go low here. He's got to Rory hits the ball as high as anybody that's ever played the game on tour. Rory can get the ball up quickly. And none of them seemingly being in the right spots were saying, there's an opening here. He's going to hit it over the trees, which he seemed to do over and over again. So that bothered me a little bit that they didn't understand how he plays golf. Because he's not going to hit low runners.
Right.
Not part of what he does. The only thing at the end that I don't want to say I had a problem with, as he's walking off and obviously hugs his wife and his daughter, and then kind of makes his way through and they're following him, and it's Shane Lowry and it's Fitzpatrick, and you know that there's their wives. At the end, he's with a bunch of people who we have no idea who they are. And maybe they didn't know who they were either. But he spent a good 3 or 4 minutes on the right side of the ropes with some folks, and then on the left side of the ropes with some folks that he obviously knew, because they're all giving hugs and they're all giving high fives, and we didn't have a clue who anybody was. Maybe they didn't know.
Right. And as we found out, when you don't know who Brooks Koepka's girlfriend is, okay?
Don't guess.
Right. Don't rely on somebody's information who turns out to be wrong. Right. But I thought the pictures were amazing. All right. Love the use of the drones. I think they're actually showing us more of the course and more angles of the course. I think we got an idea as to how narrow the 15th green is, how narrow the 12th green is. Okay, liked having the drone from up and behind the green, from kind of the Rays Creek side of it also. So I think they're doing in terms of presenting the course, a very hilly, very complicated course. I think CBS, because they're the ones doing the pictures, even though ESPN airs the Masters on Thursday and Friday, it's all CBS.
Miller and Moulton. Text line is open at 21,000. If you want to chime in, you can always watch the show, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton or twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually checked yesterday. It was $5,000 to get in yesterday. Ambient, I'm picking the Nuggets and NBA and the Avalanche and the NHL and the Broncos to win the Super Bowl. Oh, Colorado will win the Natty, too. Well, Sonny, I thought he did talk to the media. The first question they asked him, though, was about Rory. And he's like, I'm in this golf tournament. I'm not going to spend 10 minutes talking about Rory.
And he actually started talking about, I needed a half an hour before I talked to you guys today. I just finished bogey. I'm really angry, and I needed time to get my head together. Okay, I'm in no shape to talk to you guys right now. Okay, but we're not given that time. Blah blah blah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Whit Watson will join us in a little more than 15 minutes as we continue to look back at what was just great television, great drama, theater. Rory McIlroy winning, then losing, winning, and then losing before finally winning the Masters yesterday for the first time and completing the career Grand Slam, just the 6th man to ever do so. And I know we don't spend a whole lot of time talking history, but think about it. Arnie didn't do it. Sam Snead didn't do it. Lee Trevino didn't do it. Phil didn't do it. Watson didn't do it. Only one golfer in the last 55 years had won the career Grand Slam before yesterday. And we, of course, know who he is. He's El Tigre. Some pretty heady stuff that Rory McIlroy has pulled off here. And he turns 36 next month.
Did you think a little bit, and I did in the moment, I've got my notes. Something I've not done before. I took notes during the tournament. Moulton's laughing at me because that brain of his, that huge cranium, absorbs everything. Mine doesn't. But I did think Rose got a little unlucky on the first playoff hole. He's 20, 30 yards behind Rory when he hits his shot into 18. He hits a really good shot. Nearly lands in the damn hole.
I was going to say nearly jarred it.
But it didn't come back. It jumped forward, and it looked like it got to the hill and might come back 3-4 feet, and it stayed there.
Well, that's the difference of him hitting what he was hitting versus, Rory, who had, a wedge in his hand, and that's why Rory got the spin when he hit the ledge.
No offense. What's Rose hitting, an 8-iron?
Well,
not like they don't spin 8-irons.
I understand.
He caught a little bit of a bad break there. I thought that ball was going to come back 3-4 feet. But that's what sometimes it takes.
I thought he was going to make it. Because for as badly as he putted Saturday, and he putted badly Saturday, he was obviously making just about everything Sunday. 10 birdies. 10 birdies. 1 par on the back 9. Did you catch that scorecard? That little 30, inward 32.
Right.
Okay, 6 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a par on, I think it was 10. Yeah. And that was the scorecard. But a couple of other things out there. Remember, Whit Watson, handful of minutes. We'll get back to talking Rory and the Masters. So there's this guy in the NBA who's played in every game for 7 straight years. In this era of load management, Mikal Bridges has now played in, what's 82 times 7? All right, 574 consecutive games. Yesterday, though, some people are bent out of shape because he starts and he now plays for the Knicks. He's only been on the Knicks, I think, this year. All right. And he plays 6 seconds and he fouls the guy and he leaves. It's like final game of the year. All right. We're going to the playoffs. I don't need to get hurt in this game. I played. I'm in the scorebook. I'm done. And some people are getting on him for it.
Of course they are. Why wouldn't they?
But he is the anti what is going on in that league, though. He's played 82 games, 7 years in a row. By the way, just give it up. How old's Chris Paul? About 83 years old? I mean, in all seriousness, what's he, 39, 40, Chris Paul?
Got to be. I don't think he's 40.
Played all 82 games this year. So, a few people to tip of the cap for.
You're right. He's 39, David. He'll be 40 coming up in May.
So, but anyway, 7 years he's played every game. Okay. I think the streak's in the 900s. Don't ask me who has it either. Mark, it was like growing up. I remember, and I don't know who has the record now in the NHL, but remember, didn't Gary Unger have the record forever in the NHL?
And then, crud.
Was it that defenseman who was in Philly?
Yes.
At the end of his career?
And they sat him the same way. I mean, Unger got sat because the coach benched him. That's why the streak
ended. Right. And pretty much that's the guy who broke his record and got to like 960 or whatever. They sat him as well near the end. So
I think Keith Yandel is who you're thinking.
There we go.
But right now, according to what I looked up, Phil Kessel holds the NHL record for most consecutive games played.
Huh. Well, I mean, when you just skate on the perimeter, you don't hit anybody, but you score your 400 goals.
Yeah, but you have like 300 hot dogs over the time that you do that, too.
True. That is true. But the NBA regular season's over. Play-in games start tomorrow. NHL regular season down to a final handful of days. And so both playoffs begin in earnest Saturday. There will be play-in games in the NBA Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, but the playoffs, best of 7 series in both the NBA and the NHL, they begin Saturday.
By the way, for those of you wondering, the NBA streak is at 1,192 games, and it's AC Green.
I was going to guess Randy Smith, but all right. I like it.
Moulton playing trivia here.
Well, I didn't mean to. It's too early to play the trivia game. My bad. I just wanted to bring that footnote up. But 21,000 on the text line. Your thoughts on Rory, your thoughts on CBS's coverage. I will say I'm sensing a little bit in the Twitch chat room. People didn't like the rooting. That they felt CBS was blatantly rooting for Rory. All right. They didn't like it. Mark, you were the one that texted me early on because my coverage began with the sound on mute. And I was just watching the pictures and reading the closed captioning. And you said, big Rory crowd.
Huge. Couple of things. We haven't put a poll question out today. I'm ahead of the game. I put a poll question out on Saturday.
He did, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Miller with a Saturday evening poll question.
And it was simply, who are you rooting for, Rory or Bryson? Our audience slightly was rooting for Bryson. It was a 51-49 vote. It was a very close vote. And here you go, the first hole. Rory makes his double.
Right.
Rory then makes a par on 2. Bryson has the lead. And the crowd is still damn near chanting Rory. They were all in for Rory yesterday.
Yes,
the crowd was all in for him. The announcers were all in for him. And you knew the announcers weren't going to root for Bryson because they didn't even want to show Bryson the first 2 days of the tournament.
Yeah, it's that whole LIV thing. And I will say the Masters has been probably the least friendly major to the LIV. Tour and players has been Augusta. I mean, the others have they've made little ways that those guys can earn spots in their field. And Augusta's like, no. Top 50 world golf rankings. And then if you won it, obviously, and otherwise, we need to invite you.
But the crowd, the announcers, everybody seeming to be in Camp Rory for the Masters. I think part of it was we thought it was going to be a coronation. There was no one else to put in the mix until Rory makes the double on 13. And then they had to change the way they were announcing the tournament, but it was too late. Whit Watson, we'll get his perspective on what was a great Masters and Rory completing the slam. That's next, Miller and Moulton. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, I think Tirico's the best play-by-play announcer that there is on the planet right now. I think he can do any sport and do it and I'm not a Mike Tirico fan, but I don't think anybody's better. All set. Top 12, Sonny, and ties.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Russell Smith, who covers, well, the Knoxville sports scene, will join us 1 hour from now to talk about this crazy NIL story involving the Tennessee quarterback, and $2.4 million is not enough. But our dominant story today is obviously the Masters, Rory making history the hard way. Whit Watson covers golf for a living, broadcasts it, NBC and the Golf Channel, ESPN Plus. He also hosts Making the Cut, iHeartRadio app in Orlando and Jacksonville. It's on 9 a.m. Saturdays and 9:30 a.m. Saturdays in Orlando and Jacksonville, respectively. Making the Cut on the iHeartRadio app. Follow Whit on X at Real Whit Watson, Whit with one T, Real Whit Watson. So how was your Sunday afternoon and evening, huh?
My goodness. I mean, I'm still speechless. I'm actually heading into the Maitland studios of iHeart to fill in for Mark Daniels here in the Orlando market. And I mean, what else can we talk about today other than what happened at Augusta National and the emotion? I mean, what you saw, first of all, I don't know where to start, but kudos to the CBS television crew for laying out, for shutting up for 5 minutes plus after McIlroy made the putt in the playoff and just allowing that emotion to flow. Because what you saw when McIlroy walked off 18 was the weight of the world being lifted off of his shoulders. And he knew at that moment that, A, his legacy was secured. There are 6 people in the history of Earth who have completed the Grand Slam in men's golf. McIlroy is now one of them. And B, he knows he's never going to be asked that question again, Mark. He will never be asked that question again. And the first thing he said in his press conference was, what are we going to talk about next year? And so clearly it was weighing on him. Clearly he was self-aware enough to know that this was going to be a thing until he retired, and now it's not a thing. I mean, talk about drama. It was an amazing afternoon yesterday.
So when he gets a little lucky on 11, that shot should have been to the right side of the green, and the water should have never been in play. And yet he comes within probably 3 inches of that ball rolling down the hill and going to the drink. He gets a break.
Utter disaster.
He plays 12 perfectly. He plays the way Jack told him to play it. You don't take the pin into consideration. And then he's at 86 yards on 13. And I said it earlier, with a 10 handicap would have been pissed off about that wedge. There's all that room left. When he hits that wedge, I'm amazed he recovered from that shot. I actually give him a ton of credit from being able to get it back together and not completely crumble from that point on.
I agree with you. And I turned to my wife, who's been listening to me shout at the television for years now, watching golf. And I said, that's the worst wedge he's ever hit in his entire life. And how in the world how is the water even in play on that shot? He takes 3-wood 7-iron to get to that point, right? And that's probably the smart play given where he was on the leaderboard at that moment. But my goodness, the worst wedge he's ever hit. And, when they got to 18 and he flared it at 18, and it turns out it's a playoff. I was saying earlier that, when they got to the playoff hole, I thought that if Justin Rose had made the birdie putt, there was no chance that McIlroy was going to make his. I thought it was going to be over. So, yes, to your point, the way that he regrouped mentally, given all of the scar tissue and all the baggage over the years, 13 should have been the death knell, and it wasn't. And that's credit to him for being a 35, almost 36-year-old guy with a wife and a kid, and he's got it together mentally. And it was, I think that's why everyone is so celebratory about this, is that everybody thought, oh my God, it's the backstretch at Talladega. Like here comes the big one, you know? And the big one didn't happen. He held it together. And I think that's why this victory resonates with so many people.
Whit Watson, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. On the other side, how about those 2 6-irons over the weekend into 15, huh? I mean, so which one do we like more? Okay, the 211, a majestic high, and it had to be to land on that, cement surface, if you will. Or how about the one with that 207 that he had to hook around the trees? Okay, and 4 feet for eagle for both of them. I mean, that's as good approach shots as we've ever seen on that hole.
Yeah, and if he makes the one yesterday, this is an entirely different conversation, right? Like, that putt was kind of indifferent, the eagle putt yesterday on 15. What I was thinking about when I was watching that was what a absolute genius golf hole 15 is. We all talk about Amen Corner 11, 12, 13, but 15, that is such a difficult green to understand, and it's tempting to go for it, but there's really, really no margin for error, right? You can't be long, you can't be short. You saw DeChambeau a full club short yesterday on 15. What a genius golf hole that is. And I mean, those shots were incredible, and I mean, everyone's going to remember those shots. But I thought when I was watching it, what an amazing design, and how much the Augusta National Golf Club is tailored to that kind of stuff happening on a Sunday. Like, right, that's what it's designed to do, is produce drama, give players a chance to do something historic. And that's kind of what I was thinking about watching that yesterday.
And while a lot of players kind of threw up all over themselves at different times yesterday, Justin Rose has an amazing round, shoots 66. I said it was one of the more unassuming 66s I've seen. Maybe it's because of how little CBS showed him earlier in the day as we were watching Rory win this. But Justin Rose, and yeah, there were a couple bogeys down the stretch he had to overcome, but that was an unbelievable 66 when no one seemingly could shoot a number yesterday.
Trevor Immelman said something I thought that was really brilliant on the CBS broadcast. He said, if Rose wins, he cements his spot in the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Yes.
2 majors, including a Masters. That's a gold medal in the Olympics. That's all of his Ryder Cup plus. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer if he wins. I think he probably should go anyway, even if he doesn't win another major. But at the age of 44, I mean, the guy was an absolute stud yesterday. He looked fantastic. Didn't play great on Saturday to kind of put him in this position, but a stud yesterday, and an absolute gentleman after the fact. Spoke to the media for a good 45 minutes in the press conference. They're good friends. They're Ryder Cup teammates. But he even said, I wanted to be the bad guy today. I was more than willing to be the villain and deny Rory his green jacket. And I was just texting with a friend of mine this morning that we're going to forget about Justin Rose tomorrow, but we shouldn't, because he played like an absolute champion yesterday.
3rd time he's runner-up at the Masters, and the last 2 times the Masters has gone to a playoff, Rose has been on the losing side both times. So how about Scotty Scheffler? As he's putting the jacket on Rory, do you think he's saying to himself, wow, I showed up here with my C game and finished 3 back?
Yeah, he looked kind of lackluster, candidly. I mean, late in the day, he made a really boring par at 15 when he was in really good position right of the hole, and hit kind of an indifferent 3rd shot and a very cynical birdie putt. I don't know what's going through his head right now. I've been asked that question a lot. What's up with Scheffler? And the answer is I don't know. he's been grumpy the last few weeks with the way he's played, yet he was still one of the betting favorites coming into the tournament because he's Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
But yeah, with his C game, to your point, he's still top 5.
Yeah.
I guess it's a testament to his talent, but I think that's a fair question to ask. Like, what is going through his head right now? Because he doesn't seem like he's terribly engaged in playing, and I one can only imagine why.
When Rory is coming down and it's 17, we've talked about this morning. There are very few PGA Tour pros that talk to their golf ball. And Jordan Spieth is great. He's a running commentary wherever he goes. Rory's not. When Rory hits the shot on 17, when he first hit it, based on his reaction, I'm like, wow, he doesn't like it. And he talked that one to the hole. It was as clutch a shot as he had all day.
Yeah, I put that shot. I mean, when you write the history of this tournament, put that shot up there with the 2 shots at 15 we just talked about. And yes, he was yelling at it, go, 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 and it went. And because he was hitting a draw, it had a little bit of overspin and actually bounced forward closer to the hole. And I mean, that's I love this debate. It's kind of a pointless but fun debate. Like, what is the shot of the tournament? Well, the shot of the tournament is the last putt. It's the one that wins. But that shot at 17, I think, is going to be reviewed for a long time. And it was kind of cool to see him emote like that, because you're right. Jordan provides his own commentary. You don't need an on-course reporter. You don't need Dottie when Jordan is playing, because he talks his own way through it. But Rory is typically not like that. That was kind of fun to watch. I mean, the whole thing was just such great TV.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yes. It was awesome television. It was a drama, which was a tragedy, and then a celebration, and then a tragedy, and it was awesome. What is the dominant storyline for us now going forward? I mean, if we want to go career Grand Slam, I guess Spieth at the PGA could do that. That'd be something, by the way, if we have one golfer in 55 years do it and have 2 golfers do it in back-to-back majors. But I mean, honestly, Rory was a lot of the oxygen, Whit, to this sport and this tour for the last 2-3 years. I'm curious, where do we go now?
I think, I hope, I wonder if this frees him up. He's 35 years old. He was, 13, 14 years removed from his last major championship, over a decade. So I wonder if this frees him up and maybe he gets a second wind in terms of major championships. Nobody in the world was playing better than Rory heading into the Masters. We all knew that. That's why he was one of the betting favorites. But this event had always been his Waterloo. This had always been the curse, right? And now that he's got the green jacket, I wonder if maybe he goes on another run, like a late career run a la Tiger Woods. I think that's what I'm interested to watch for the rest of the season. Next week we're at the beach at Hilton Head. It's going to be a lot more relaxed. But there are other majors on the horizon, and I think that the attention is going to be on Rory, but it's going to be for a different reason. It's not going to be, can you finally break through? It's going to be, can you, I think he's going to be a favorite everywhere he goes. And that, to me, is a lot of fun. That's good for the game. It's good for the PGA Tour. He's been their champion for a long time. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch for the rest of the season.
Whit Watson broadcasts golf for NBC and the Golf Channel, for ESPN Plus. He also hosts Making the Cut Saturdays. It's on in Orlando and Jacksonville. iHeart Radio app is where you can hear it. And follow Whit on X at Real Whit with 1T Watson. Real Whit Watson. Whit, have a great show filling in for Mark Daniels. Thanks for making time for us.
Cheers. Always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Whit Watson joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
I do think that going forward now, we could get a good Scheffler-Rory rivalry for the rest of 2025. Now we need Scheffler to bring his A game when Rory has his A game. I think that's the next thing that we could look forward to seeing. A lot of other great players on tour, but those are the two that we're going to pay the most attention to going forward. And can Scheffler now regain his form? And I'm guessing Rory's going to be world number one after this. And I know not many people care, but to see those two battle the rest of the year would be terrific for the game.
Miller and Moulton. Russell Smith in 45 minutes to talk about the fiasco that is, so who's the Tennessee quarterback? And why is $2.4 million not enough to be the Tennessee quarterback? In 45 minutes, Miller and Moulton. Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil, are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. Sonny, right train of thought, not the right info. You're thinking about Affirmed and Seattle Slew going back to back. Spectacular Bid was the horse in 79 that won the first 2 legs, didn't win the Belmont. But you had Secretariat in 73, then Affirmed and Seattle Slew, and then Spectacular Bid came close. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to make too big of a point about this, but I thought that Rory and Bryson, that they made Scheffler look bad. They make him look at just how boring he is. Not since Bobby Jones. Tiger won 4 in a row. He won the last 3 majors of 2000 and the 01 Masters. So he had all 4 majors at the same time. Well, Scheffler's only won 2 Masters. I mean, he's got to win 3 other tournaments. Spieth is the one with the best shot because he needs a PGA. And Mickelson's time has come and gone. All 6 second-place finishes at the U.S. Open.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the 3rd hour of Miller and Moulton, halfway home in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show in Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Basking in the great television that was produced yesterday by those playing the back nine in the 2025 Masters. Great television. Well done, gentlemen. Very entertaining few hours for those of us that committed to it. And so good, in fact, for those that don't like golf, they would have been, oh, wow, this is pretty damn good. Yeah, it really is. Very quickly, Mark, okay, a chance, since Rory now is one of 6 to have won the career Grand Slam. That puts him in a totally different area code historically. And now he's at 5 total majors won. He's 36 next month. 6 gets you tied with the likes of Faldo and Trevino. 7 gets you to Arnie. 8 gets you to Watson. You know, Phil's also got 6. So Mickelson, Trevino, Faldo. the big ones at 6. Arnie at 7. Watson at 8. Gary Player at 9. Once again, greatest, most underrated golfer of all time is Gary Player. But anyway, so you know how I've contended Phil's one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time. If he had won one of those 6 U.S. Opens that he finished second in, Phil would have been a top 10 golfer of all time. Watson, I think, is very close to the top 10 list. You know, but think about if Rory can end up with 7, Mark. I mean, if you can end up with the same number of majors as Arnie, and you won the career Grand Slam and he didn't. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, you're a bigger figure in golf than Arnold Palmer. There may be no one ever who's a bigger figure in the sport than what Arnie did for it. But he's at 5. And if he can get 2 more, I mean, you start having to seriously talk about, is he one of the 10 greatest of all time?
Well, I think you immediately have to start talking about it once you win the career Grand Slam. When you do something that you're one of 6 to have ever done it in the sport's history, you immediately get on one of the short lists, despite the fact that you may not have won as many majors as others. You've won all of the majors. That has to count for something. That's the first thing I would say. Secondly, as you pointed out heading into the Masters, and we talked about last week, there's nobody playing better golf than Rory McIlroy right now. Heading into the Masters, he'd won the Players, he'd won at Pebble. Rory's on the short list of best driver of the golf ball to have ever played the game.
I mean, most golf historians, the Ron Cyrex of the world, will tell you that it's some trio of Arnie, Greg Norman, and Rory. Basically, if you needed to pipe a drive 280 to 320 down the middle, okay, who would you call? You'd call one of those 3.
And with length being such a part of today's game, Rory kind of hits it a long way.
Yes, he does.
As evidenced by the approach shots that he had on 18 on his 72nd and then 73rd holes, in which he was 30 yards beyond Justin Rose in the playoff hole. Look, you're more into the history of the sport than I am. I'm always into the next event. But because Rory now completed the career Grand Slam, it will be fascinating going forward, because I don't believe Bryson's going to go anywhere in the majors. I think he will contend in the majors all year long. I think Scheffler will contend in the majors. And while it's not a golden era per se, the game's in a pretty good spot. You've got Oberg, who's an incredible player. And just having to deal with the competition that they deal with now, to think that Rory could get 1 or 2 more would be astonishing. But I do agree with Whit and many others in the fact that it was obvious when he collapsed on the 18th green after winning that you knew the weight of the world fell off the man's shoulders. And I thought Whit, who we just had on last hour, made an excellent point. And that, does this free Rory up? Does he get to play mentally a little differently now because he finally won at Augusta? And if that's the case, that would be terrific.
In fact, the burden was so heavy that Rory, post-match, was saying, listen, I knew it was weighing on me. Even I didn't know how much. Maybe I was in denial. But wow. And I thought it was awesome to see that much emotion from an athlete. Any athlete. Male, female, don't care the sport. Means that much to you. Cool. Awesome. Kind of makes me feel like my 5 hours was worth it. Cool. We all know you guys and gals work really hard and you're very talented, and we know it means something to you. But to mean that, oh, all right. Awesome. And listen, I shouldn't say this. This is probably going to be something that could be held against me for the rest of our days together. But I do got to say that watching Rory and Bryson and even Justin Rose and a few others, man, Scheffler's boring. I mean, golly.
David, I didn't put on Paramount Plus or anything yesterday. I went to church with my family in the morning. I came home, I made breakfast. And then I began to make dinner so that everything I had to do by 2:00 was done. And the only thing I had to do was sit my behind on the couch and watch. But I turned the TV on at around 1:30 because I didn't want to miss any of the Masters. And I happened to watch Nance's Masters tribute to Bernhard Langer. And to your point about Scheffler, when we think of Langer, we think of a pretty stoic performer. He was in 85 when he won his first. He was fist pumping. And not after he won on 18, after he made putts on like 13. And he made another putt later in the round, I think, on whether it was 14. But I mean, he was showing emotion as he was getting his green jacket. And Scheffler never shows any.
Nope. And listen, it works for him. Okay. And clearly, he's not a performer. He's just a golfer. Okay. But I got to tell you, if you don't give me anything, if you want to be a robot out there, not worth my time. I mean, I will say his short game at Augusta, I mean, for as great a ball striker as he is, Scheffler's short game, particularly at Augusta, is amazing. His chipping. Wow. Like, I mean, there's a part of me that thinks if I had to get up and down at Augusta, I'd literally pick him over anyone in the field. But, wow, he is dreadfully boring. And, should it matter? No, it shouldn't. Is this a flaw on my part? Yeah, it is. It's a character flaw. But
I mean, look at, there were a lot of people that didn't like where they put the pin on 16 yesterday. They did it 50th anniversary of Jack winning in 75. And Jack made a monstrous putt up the hill on 16 en route to that victory. When they showed that, what did Jack do? He was running around the green. And then he caught himself and slowed down and started walking. Emotion's part of it. I think there are a lot of reasons why Tiger was loved.
Mm-hmm.
But Tiger's raw emotion when he achieved greatness certainly enhanced the way we thought about him.
So, for those talking about like Scheffler in the future, that doesn't do anything for me. Anything. Also, he hasn't won a major that's not the Masters. If we're going to start emphasizing career Grand Slam and winning multiple majors, like Spieth, to me, Spieth got the 3 tough ones out of the way early. I mean, Spieth's a PGA away from the career Grand Slam. Well, I think Jordan's a contender in about 8 to 12 PGAs over the rest of his career. Hopefully he gets one. That'd be cool. But, Koepka's only won, the 2? He's won the U.S. Open and the PGA. He hasn't won the Masters, hasn't won the Open Championship. I mean, that's why what Rory did, it's tough. It's tough to get 3.
Well, I think when you start listing all of the great players who haven't, and you start mentioning the Watsons, You start mentioning, so many great players who were unable to get that last major.
Arnie couldn't get a PGA. Watson couldn't get a PGA. Phil obviously couldn't get the U.S. Open. Trevino couldn't get the Masters. That's why it's so hard. But congrats to Rory. It was awesome to see. Great television. The collapse, the comeback, the collapse, the comeback.
When he didn't get up and down on 18, I didn't think he was going to win the playoff. When he missed the hole that badly after hitting a terrific bunker shot, I thought he was going to lose. I did. And he was able to pull off an unbelievable shot on 18 after Rose nearly dunked one. And he finally gets his green jacket. Miller and Moulton, text line open, 21,000. Thanks so much for listening. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Johnny Mac, I argued if Watson had won that British, it would have been the greatest win in the history of the sport. A 59-year-old winning the Open Championship? Ridiculous. Also would have been his ninth major. Wes, a lot of come late this afternoon or tomorrow. Hey, I got something here for you.
Okay.
Wow, Logic Man, that's some traffic.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Russell Smith, in a little more than 15 minutes' time, will dive into the whole Tennessee quarterback walking out on the Vols over money, even though most people think he's making a pretty good check. But we'll talk to Russell Smith, covers the Vols for Fox in Knoxville. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time.
Keep an eye on UCLA for Nico. They didn't spend a lot of money in the portal. A lot of people thinking that UCLA could have the cash still to get him, and he actually may get a raise, which seems impossible to me, but could still happen.
Did you see the Ian Rappaport story from Friday afternoon? This has been, I believe, the slowest April in recent memory, just in terms of excitement for the draft and hyping up of prospects, etc. A legitimate NFL story Friday afternoon that I think got completely lost in the Masters. Saints quarterback Derek Carr has a shoulder injury, could miss the entire 2025 season. Surgery is very much an option and is on the table. This is an injury that apparently occurred during the offseason. Okay? Because last year, when Carr missed a third of the season, he had an injury to an oblique and a broken bone in his right throwing hand. So this is something completely new. And don't you now, Mark, if you're the Saints, don't you now have to seriously consider Shedeur Sanders at 9?
100%, David. It's funny. I know you and I follow different things, and one of the sites that I stumbled upon many years ago that I like a lot, it's called ourlads.com. They do a great job of giving you every team's depth chart. And not only do they give you every team's depth chart, they also have how they were acquired, if they were a draft, what round, etc. Well, they put out a mock every Monday. And as I was looking through their mock this morning, David, damned if they don't have the Saints selecting Shedeur Sanders.
So when we had Pat Kerwin on twice last week, I think both days we brought up Shedeur, but I think it was on Friday, as it turned out, about 6 hours before Ian Rappaport's report, in which I said to Pat, Pat, if I'm the Saints, Sanders can't get past me at 9. If I've rated him and think he's a legitimate first-round quarterback prospect, I can't let him get past us at 9. Carr's not our future. We can get off of that contract after 2025, blah, blah, blah. And I thought at the time, you don't have to rush and put him on the field this year.
David, in fact, to emphasize what you're talking, I mean, the mock I'm looking at has the Saints trading up to get him to make sure that they get him, and just has him trading up 2 spots to 7 with the Jets.
Interesting, because if I'm the Saints, don't you have to be worried about the Raiders at 6?
Yes, but there are a lot of people, and this service included, have the Raiders taking Genty, the running back from Boise. But
Right.
I'm with you.
But to me, if I'm the Saints, if he gets past 6, I don't know that there's this huge market to trade up and acquire him. I think he's going to get to me at 9. Obviously, it's a gamble.
But then you would call Jacksonville, really, if you're this. I mean, if you want to make sure you get him,
right?
Don't you have to call the Jags
Totally.
and get yourself ahead of the Raiders
Totally.
to make sure you don't lose out there?
Yep, got to do it. Absolutely, positively got to do it. And if I'm the Jags, I don't think I'd do it, because there's one of 2 people that I desperately want out of this draft, and I don't know if either will be available at 9.
Mason Graham, the D tackle out of Michigan, being 1.
And the LSU tackle. Campbell, right?
Campbell, right.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if I'm Jacksonville, I got to have one of those 2 guys.
And for what it's worth, this draft, just to give you an idea, if you're wondering, goes Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2 to Cleveland, Abdul Carter 3 to the Giants, Campbell 4 to the Patriots, Graham 5 to Jacksonville.
But Derek Carr, a serious shoulder injury, so much so his 2025 is in doubt. It somehow happened during this offseason. But either way, if you're the Saints, can you really now count on him?
No.
And you're probably looking to move on from him, even if he was healthy after this season. So doesn't that just make your decision-making really simple?
Unless they're not as high on Sanders as they may be on what they're next year. And this could be the opportunity that you and I and many have been talking about for the Saints for a long time, to give them finally the year where they reboot this sucker and get themselves back in line with their salary cap problems that they've seemingly had for half a decade.
But we had Matt Moscona on last week, and you were the one that asked him the question, hey, Matt, is this finally the year the Saints do the mature, rational thing that we all think they should do? And he went, absolutely not. They don't believe in it.
They don't take quarterbacks in the first round, and they don't trade down. That's what Matt told us, and had the numbers to back it up when we had Matt on late last week.
Archie Manning, right?
Yes.
The last quarterback that they took in the first round.
And also that Loomis doesn't trade down, period.
Now, I will say, like the Dolphins, too, I think was their first round quarterback since Marino. Mahomes was the Chiefs' first round quarterback since Todd Blackledge. So both the Dolphins and the Chiefs went a long time here. I mean, the 83 draft, they went 35 plus years before they took a quarterback in the first round. But my goodness, the Archie Manning draft? I mean, what are we talking here? 70, 71, something like that? I mean, damn.
So Carr could possibly be out for the Saints What does that mean for Shedeur Sanders in the draft? Do the Saints grab him? Do they move up to get him? Like this website says, do they sit and hope he comes to them at 9?
And I got to be honest, this is getting pretty interesting to me with Pittsburgh. Because now, if somebody has to take Sanders, and because what was the talk for the last couple of weeks, he could fall to the Steelers at 21. Okay. And that Aaron Rodgers is hanging out, waiting to see what the Steelers do in the draft. I mean, are the Steelers going to end up with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback when this is all said and done?
Just based on this, and this is one mock. Come on, we all know they're going to be wrong with 80% of the picks they make. But just to have a little fun as we head to break, to give David something to stew on, in this mock draft, Denver trades the 20th overall pick to the New York Giants. And the Giants take Jalen Milroe.
Oh, my goodness.
Cleveland trades back in with Buffalo at 30 to get Jackson Dart. 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. Haven't had this kind of excitement out of one David Moulton since Daniel Jones was taken by the Giants. We'll talk Tennessee quarterbacks, the Vols type, next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All set.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Russell Smith is kind enough to join us. He holds down Afternoon Drive in Fox Sports in Knoxville. The show is called The Drive. You can follow Russell on X at Russell_Smith, Russell_Smith. Russell, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning, guys. Just getting ready for another tumultuous week on Rocky Top.
Could you humor a couple of guys who actually follow this sport and the SEC pretty closely, but since we're based in Florida, we became aware of this story right around the time the was going to hit the fan? Has this been a thing for a while, or did this come out of nowhere?
No, this kind of popped out of nowhere last week on Thursday. You know, a very quiet spring practice. It just, I remember years and years ago, spring practice used to be a big deal. I'm not sure if it's like this in other markets, but ever since Josh Heupel came here, not a lot of narrative out there. I mean, it doesn't mean the program's in bad shape or anything. It's just these coaches can shut down access to spring practice, and there's not a lot of storylines, and we haven't really been following it. College basketball season going on, balls were really good, and baseball team's doing well. So football is kind of on the back burner. And then just out of nowhere on Thursday, the Pete Makos report on On3 Sports that Nico's camp was hoping to renegotiate his NIL deal, which had been previously publicized. He was one of the first guys that had been reported to sign a huge NIL deal coming out of high school. And, even then people are like, it's one of these negotiations. It might be a little bit unseemly, but they'll get things worked out in the end. And then Friday, when he didn't show up for practice, kind of no call to no showed on Tennessee's coaches, that's when it went to a different level, and the firestorm really began. And then you wake up Saturday morning to find out that Heupel had addressed the team before the spring game and said that they're moving on. So it all happened very quickly.
Is there any word or any reason why Nico didn't try to negotiate after the playoff when schools had more money and there were budgets? And obviously transferring at that window is a little easier than transferring in the spring window. Is there anything after the fact that we found out that he tried to negotiate before, or did this all just happen last week from everything you can gather?
Yeah, I mean, there had been reports that his people had contacted Tennessee right before the winter portal closed in late December. This is after they had lost the playoff game to Ohio State and the season was over, and maybe had, tried to get a renegotiation done, and that maybe it had been pushed off to spring, or I don't know. Those reports are a little bit cloudy, but no, he obviously did not go in the portal then, and we had no indication that anything was amiss there, and people had been going on the past couple of months under the assumption that Nico was going to be the starter again in 2025 for Tennessee. So this happened quickly, and still I think people are processing this. A fair amount of shock for Tennessee fans, and it sounds like for the coaches and players as well.
So who's the quarterback going forward, or beginning Wednesday? Do they have to take that $2.4 million and go find somebody?
Yes, yeah, they're going to have to go find somebody. They've got Jake Merklinger, who was redshirted last year. He's a redshirt freshman, was a four-star guy out of Savannah, Georgia, has virtually zero experience. And then another true freshman, George McIntyre, who was a five-star guy out of mid-state Tennessee, the Nashville area, who has zero experience. So not an ideal situation. You don't want to go into the season with just two scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. So I'm sure Tennessee will be working the portal. It opens on Wednesday. So obviously Nico will go in, and we'll see if anybody else goes in. It's interesting when you know that a school was paying the previous starter $2.4 million and he is no longer there. Does that make it enticing for any other quarterbacks around the country to go in the portal and see if they can't get that money for themselves? So all eyes will be on the transfer portal this week for Tennessee. I'm sure they are back channeling to see who all is available or is likely to be available. But my guess is they go in there and get somebody. It's just, is that player going to be better than what they already have on the roster? Somebody that they feel like they can hand the keys to the offense to with no spring practice. They've got to go in there and learn the system very quickly and be the starter. You might not find somebody that's better than what you already have there, but you still got to find somebody, right? You got to find an emergency option. And so it's a bit of a sliding scale, right? Is there a starter quality QB in the portal that you can go and get, or do you just have to take a body as an insurance policy should something happen to one of the two freshmen you've already got on roster?
Obviously, this could all change when we start playing football in the fall and the games actually matter. But from the outside, and correct me if I'm wrong, Russell, it looks as if Vol Nation is supporting Josh Heupel and not Nico. I mean, a lot of times in this case, if the quarterback or whomever doesn't get paid, the fan base may be upset at not paying him. It looks as if Vol Nation's in support of what has happened and they're in support of the Vols. Is that a safe assessment right now?
Yeah, it's again, we keep talking about how quickly all this happened. When those reports first came out, I think people were largely in Nico's camp. And even if you thought, oh man, what a greedy family this is. And again, I don't think this is all Nico. I think that his people around him, everything I've heard is that Nico's a pretty good kid. He puts his head down, goes to work and everything. I think he's been pulled in a lot of different directions by different people and being used to an extent. But I think that it's a situation where Tennessee's going to have to figure out quickly where they go from here. And it's just a shame. There are really no winners in this situation. The fans are struggling right now. I think Nico's going to struggle to find a better situation. Everything that we're hearing is that, it's not like USC and Notre Dame are beating down his door to sign him. So I think the fans are behind Josh Heupel. They realize that it's going to be, it puts him and the program in a difficult spot right here. But I think that at a certain point, people are like, enough is enough. You can't just keep coming back to the school time and time again for more money when the school's treated you well. They paid him that $2.4 million his redshirt freshman year just to carry a clipboard. He didn't play much in 2023. So, yeah, I think the fans are behind Josh Heupel and Tennessee in this one, but we'll see how that goes. If Tennessee struggles, they've got Georgia coming in here third week of the season. If you've got a young quarterback and you can't move the ball against the Bulldogs again, we'll see how that loyalty is tested at that point. But for right now, I think Tennessee fans are very understanding and, again, just puts Tennessee in a tough spot here.
Russell Smith, afternoons, Fox Sports in Knoxville. The show is called The Drive, 3 to 6. Follow Russell on X at Russell_Smith, Russell_Smith. Have you heard from the fan base that this is getting too unseemly for their liking? Even though a school like Tennessee can benefit from the system that has emerged in the last 24 months more often than it could be, screwed by it. But are you hearing in the last 3-4 days that, okay, this is a little too unseemly. We got to figure the next step out soon. So stuff like this can't be happening.
I think that's a realization and a feeling all over the college football landscape, not just in Knoxville. But, there's just, I call it a slow-moving paradigm shift going from amateur sports to professional sports. It's been happening for years. Still no end in sight. We'll see if the House settlement changes anything. It feels like it'll change a lot, but not enough. There's still going to be a lot of loose threads out there and the potential for lawsuits and things like that. I just think that a lot of fans are, they understand that nobody can get a handle on this thing, but it's not just the players, it's not just the agents, it's not just the schools. You've got a lot of people just trying to figure out how to split up the vast, vast resources that college football creates with all the money and revenue that goes into it. But it all stems from the fans. I mean, who watches the TV? These TV revenue deals? Who's going to the games for these tickets? Who's donating all the money, man? It's the fans. We're all just wanting to watch our schools and the great sport that we love of college football. And you've got a lot of people right now who are just in it for themselves, seemingly. Just how much more money can we extract from these schools and these fans and the situation? And I think a lot of fans are over it. They don't like it. Tennessee fans are, under the microscope for that this week, but I feel like that's a situation nationwide. I mean, we've got USC and UCLA playing in the Big Ten now. We've got college football expanding, players getting paid millions of dollars, threatening to go in the portal, going in the portal. It's just not the sport that many of us grew up watching right now. And when you see situations like this, it does make it a little bit difficult to stomach.
Russell Smith, afternoons. The show is called The Drive, 3 to 6 on Fox Sports Knoxville. Follow Russell on X, Russell_Smith, Russell_Smith. Russell, thanks for the time and the insight. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thanks, you guys too. Thanks for having me.
Russell Smith, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Well, Tennessee was going to be in everybody's preseason top 20. I mean, they were going to be, kicked around as a, quote, possible, unquote, playoff team. Is that fair?
Yes, 100%.
Well, if they don't replace him, that's going to change.
Absolutely. But, you have to wonder if you're a mid-level Big Ten kid right now playing quarterback. You're at Minnesota, Michigan State. You know the school. And you weren't thinking about transferring. But all of a sudden, the Tennessee job's available for roughly $2 million. Right. And that's when he said the back channeling. That's what I thought of. How many agents or parents or handlers are calling Tennessee's people right now going, well, my kid might leave school X. For all of you saying Nico's going to wherever in the SEC, that ain't going to happen.
No,
the SEC has rules to prevent that. He cannot transfer within the SEC and play next year.
Correct. Right. So that can't happen.
Take all that off the table. Not going to Georgie's, not going to A&M. It cannot. Well, he can, but he'd have to sit out. That's just for spring transfers. If he would have transferred in the winter window, he could have transferred within conference. But in the spring window, you cannot transfer within conference in the SEC, just for what it's worth, so people are aware.
So imagine you're a good quarterback on a MAC team or just on a group of 5 team. You're a good quarterback. You're better for this year, probably on paper, than what Tennessee has, just because you've started a couple years. Well, hell, Mark. I mean, you could sign for $1.8 million. It's $150,000 a game.
David, if you're at a MAC school, you could sign for $1 million. I mean,
well, but you know what I mean.
I know, but you're only making 50, 80,000, maybe 100,000 at a MAC school.
But Tennessee can save $600,000 and still grab this good quarterback from a group of 5 school, if you know what I mean, and put $600,000 in their pocket.
I'm more curious as to where Nico transfers to.
Well, and you mentioned UCLA during a break, I think it was, and that would fascinate me because one of the things about the UCLA job is that they don't have a lot of money in the UCLA athletic department. They don't. That's why a lot of people do not think it's a good job and think that they are really going to struggle in football. What's interesting is apparently, and I just saw a list over the weekend, Mark, UCLA basketball is having a tremendous transfer portal.
Which means they're spending serious money. Because there was a report I read over the weekend that there are 8 schools already that are spending upwards of $10 million on their roster for college basketball.
And by the way, one of those schools is Creighton. Now, this does, fly into the theory that I was pounding the table on a few weeks ago that, hey, you get some of those Big East schools, especially, we don't have football. Basketball, funnels the whole athletic department. We're going to put every damn resource we have into it, which means we can play with the big boys in the portal scene.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton. You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. All guests on the show, like Whit Watson during our 7 o'clock hour and Russell Smith last segment. Joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You know, Mark, one thing we left out from the whole strange Tennessee quarterback abruptly leaving the program, seeking more money elsewhere, is the fact that, do you know who tipped Tennessee off that their quarterback was on the phone trying to get more money elsewhere? Dan Lanning. Oregon coach called up Heupel and said, are you guys aware that like Nico and his people are like calling around looking for more money? And Dan, you know, by all accounts was like, oh, we're not interested. We're good. But I don't know. Just thought you'd want to know. Do with it what you will. So, okay. Hey, Dan, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it. All right. Maybe we can meet in a playoff game this year. That'd be awesome. Best of luck to you.
And now, you know, did Nico leave Tennessee? Did Tennessee leave Nico? It seems as if Nico left Tennessee. Heupel informed the team Saturday that they no longer wanted him. It seemed as if that point Nico had already decided he didn't want Tennessee.
Right.
Or at least his people didn't want Tennessee.
Right, because he didn't show up for anything the day before. And they had practice and what have you. And he was a no-show and a no-call. He didn't even let him know he wasn't coming. So in theory, it wasn't a negotiation. You know, if he called and said, hey, I'm not going to be at practice today. Really? Why? What's up? Well, I'm not making enough money. Oh, okay. No, he was a no-call, no-show. Gotcha. So I just thought that was interesting. You know, Dan Lanning was the one that picked up the phone, called Josh Heupel, said, hey, just to let you know, your quarterback's trying to get more money.
I could see, boy, could you see more of that or less? I mean, because obviously the coaches are all trying to gain an advantage, but the coaches hate the system that they're in right now.
They do. Well, you got to admit, Dan Lanning's at Nike U, so we think he hates it less than most. But there are some that are speculating because where are the teams that Nico's been closely mentioned with? USC and UCLA, and that the reason Lanning did it is because, you know, some of his rivals are the ones doing this, and so he wanted to, you know, let Josh know. We'll see how it all plays out. But we saw how it all played out yesterday afternoon and into the early evening. Rory McIlroy. By my count, he won the tournament 3 times and he lost it twice. It only counts as 1 green jacket, however, not 3. But he finally wins the Masters 14 years after blowing a final round lead, a 4-shot final round lead. And while he finished second 1 time in the last 14 years, it was a backdoor post a great Sunday round and finished 3 shots back and never really contended despite finishing second type showing. And he wins the career Grand Slam, just the 6th male to ever do so. The other 5, Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Jack, Gary Player, and Tiger.
That's one hell of a list to be on. It really is. And Rory gave us everything yesterday. I mean, he gave us absolutely everything. From sheer greatness to some of the worst golf shots I've ever seen at that golf course. The wedges that he hit on 13 and 18 were god-awful. I mean, 10 handicaps would not be happy with the shots they made from those distances. 86 yards on 13, hits it easily 20 yards right of where he intended to hit that. 18, 128 yards, I believe. Hit that easily 10 to 15 yards right of where he wanted to hit that. But then what he did on 17, what he did on 18 in the playoff, the 6-iron that he hit on 15. Shots of legend.
It's another reason why the wedge into the bunker on 18 was surprising, although I've heard a couple of people bring up the lie that he had on that second shot on 18, which is surprising because it was in the fairway. But even Rory said, I guess his yardage was 3 yards different from when he played it as the 72nd hole versus when he played it as the 73rd hole. He said, my yardage was 3 yards different, but my lie was a lot better. I found that interesting because you assume if you're in the fairway, you've got a decent lie.
The only thing, and he didn't say it, and I don't know if anybody will ask, but Jordan Spieth on Saturday, after his round, was not so nice about Augusta National and said he had a tremendous amount of mud balls. Said it was better on Sunday, but still had a few. And basically said, I know no one can talk about this, but, and Rory never said it, will someone ever ask him, did you have a mud ball? That's the only thing I can come up with based on what I read about Spieth and his complaints about Augusta National, which you're not really allowed to have.
Correct. But there's many reasons why it was surprising. First off, these guys are the best in the world, and it's some kind of wedge from a $125 in the middle of the fairway. You expect them to at least hit the green. Didn't say get it close, but you do expect them to hit the green. And when the bunker is, 12 yards to the right of the pin, yeah, you're a little surprised that from $1.25, that's where the ball ends up. Plus, for as much as he was collapsing on the early to mid part of the, and I know you don't call it this either, Mark, back 9, all right? Think about the 2 shots he hit on 15. Think about his tee shot on 16. Think about his 3-wood mid-iron to 2.5 feet on 17. Think about the drive he piped on 18. I mean, Rory had hit like 10 tremendous shots in a row, 15, 16, 17 and a half of 18. And while I didn't think Rory was going to hit it tight on 18, I thought he was going to put it on the green and have to 2-putt from about 22 feet.
And most everyone collapsed around him. DeChambeau was awful. Putted the ball horribly. Iron play, worse. Rory kept trying to lure Bryson DeChambeau back into the tournament, but Bryson couldn't do it and finally choked it all for good when he pulled his second shot on 11 into the drink.
Listen, it was a crazy back 9, and not every back 9 of the Masters is crazy. But do you think DeChambeau the next time doesn't try to press the envelope on 11 and he just does what he's supposed to do, which is hit it out to the right, 2-putt from 25 feet and go to the 12th tee? Because, Mark, he finished 4 back, okay? And that's 2 right there he gave up, in which he's forcing the issue thinking he has to. And if that course showed us anything yesterday, how about Patrick Reed? How about the 3-putt from 4 feet on 13? If he makes the 4-footer, he's in the playoff. Instead, he 3-jacks it. And instead of making birdie, makes bogey. And oh, by the way, if he had made that 4-footer, him holing his shot from the 17th fairway would have gone down as one of the 5 most remarkable shots in the history of that tournament. But I mean, there were instances after instance after instance yesterday in which if people had just kept it together, because Rory fell apart for that 30 minutes, they would have turned, looked up, and been like, son of a gun, I'm right here.
David, I couldn't understand, even when it happened, when Rory hit the shot almost in the water on 11. As you know, as Whit said, he did commentary to his wife. I had my mother and my wife there that I was doing commentary for. I said it in the moment. I said, you just got to hit this on the green. You make your 4. You make 4 on 11. You make 3 on 12. And then you see if you can make a charge if you're Bryson. No business trying to hit it tight on 11. It's not the right shot. It never has been in the history of that tournament, and it wasn't yesterday. He could have still picked up 1 by making a 4 there. And then he hits first on 12. He can hit it to the middle of the green or go after the pin, do whatever he wants, and put the pressure on McIlroy there. Huge mistake by Bryson, who tries to think the game very well. In that case, I thought made a mistake. I thought he made it in the moment, and I'll always think it.
And it's how Tiger won 6 years ago. I mean, I don't know if people can recall that back 9, but Tiger just kept playing for par, playing for par, playing for par, and watched everybody around him. What? Koepka, Finau, who's the Italian who had the lead?
Molinari.
Okay, I mean, he just watched them all at some point in time throw up all over themselves. And then he said, well, I'll birdie both par 5s and then see where I'm at. And he birdied both par 5s, looked up at the leaderboard and said, I'll be damned. I'm tied for the lead. You know, birdie on 16 would go a long way here. Yes, it did. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton. You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. The home stretch is underway of this Monday edition of Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett, all on the show tomorrow. Seth having to join us a day early. He's got some college tour stuff he's got to do with his oldest daughter on Wednesday. And we always make allowances for family on this show, considering how much we pay in Seth for his weekly appearance on this show.
Oh, man, big money. I mean, Nico money.
or is it Josh Heupel money, in which he walked away and said, "You'll get nothing and you'll like it"?
Exactly. Hey, couple of things for you. We've obviously been talking a ton of golf today with the Epic Masters yesterday.
Sure.
Quail Hollows, where the PGA is next month. Justin Thomas won the last PGA played there in 2017. But Rory has won 4 times on that course.
That is true.
4 times. And now it's the truest championship, insert bank name here, of what that tournament's been called over the years. But I love doing this. I'm going to throw some trivia at Moulton, and he's going to get it right. And you're all going to shake your heads in your car and go, how the hell does he know this? But do you know the last player to win the Masters in the PGA in the same year?
The Masters and the PGA.
Yes. In the same season. Trying to throw one at you that you might not know. And trust me, everyone, I don't know this. I read an article during the break, and I've got the information in front of me.
See, I thought you were going to ask me the last guy to win the first 2 majors of the year, and that was Spieth 10 years ago. But the Masters and the PGA, which for the longest time was the first major and the last major. Boy. No, off the top of my head, I would say Tiger.
Nicklaus in 75.
Wow.
Nicklaus in 75, the last to win the Masters and the PGA Championship in the same season. And obviously, as David said, that was a first-last major. Now it's a first-second major since they've moved the PGA up into May. 32 days away before the PGA, the next major.
Spieth is a PGA away from the career Grand Slam. So I hope he contends because, well, might as well keep the storyline going. So there.
A great Masters, as we've pointed out, it was unbelievable television. Turns out that CBS laid down for 5 minutes and 7 seconds after Rory's win. They talked briefly, they mentioned Rose, and then they laid out 5 minutes and 7 seconds of just reactions, crowd shots, and Rory embracing all of those that he did on his way when you finally heard him say, I'm going to go get a green jacket now.
Don't know what Nance or anyone could have added to that. As
The only thing to me was the last 2 groups. Who the hell were they? That everybody else had a pretty good idea who they were. When it came to the last 2, and when Rory said, I'm going to go get my green jacket, he was obviously with people that were close to him. Who was it? No idea. That was my only thought.
Did you see how the club he grew up at, the club that his dad worked at, did you see their reaction to him winning?
I did not.
Because, we're talking 12:30 in the morning.
Right.
Right. And it's not an upscale place at all. And the room is packed. And you would have thought that one of the people in that room was Rory's parents. I mean, man, did they celebrate him winning the Masters. And it makes you think, because he said post-match, my parents who weren't here, but I will see them next week. Mark, you and I love when guys get the cup for a day and what that day is like. I mean, never mind if that day you live in Minnesota or that day you live in Finland. You get the cup and the day you're going to get it. So you line everybody and everything up that you want. And it is usually a party. Imagine what those days are going to be like when Rory returns home as the Masters champion to greet his parents, who, legend has it, worked tirelessly for Rory growing up. I mean, they literally said Dad worked 100 hours a week, whether it was 100 or not, but he apparently worked all day, had multiple jobs, and Mom had 2 jobs also.
Allowing Rory to play basically around the world.
Yep.
As a junior golfer, as a phenom, and to reach the heights that he has.
Mark, I thought of you because for years, and I don't think you've done it recently. If you have, obviously, I haven't been there, but you have hosted many a derby party. And so Rory wins, and the whole 5.5 minutes of silence there is happening, and Rory is beginning to work his way through, and he hugs his wife. And my wife's only comment, meanwhile, I've told her for a half hour now, what's at stake, what he's done, the whole deal. She hasn't said a word. All right. He hugs his wife, and my wife goes, "Ooh, that's a nice hat. You could really protect yourself from the sun with that hat. That's really nice."
Funny you say that, because whoever she was standing next to, they're starting to show replays after the fact, and they show her when Rory makes the putt in her reaction, and whoever the woman next to her was embraces her. And I laugh because when she embraced Rory's wife there, Rory's wife only embraced back with one arm because her hat was about to come off, and she put her hand on her hat, to which my wife said, "Hey, you've got to. When you commit to the hat as a woman, you've committed to the hat all day. You cannot let that come off."
I love the fact that wife and daughter are standing behind that one rope in that little triangular area, and Rory lifts up the rope, and there's a hesitation from the wife, and Rory basically looks at her like, "Yeah, I just won the Masters. You two can walk inside the rope."
Everything has changed now.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. See, I have a locker in the champions locker room now.
Right.
I'm going to be a member here at Augusta National now. Every single thing has changed.
Right. We're going to have dinner here. Okay, yes. But I just thought that was cute. But someone said something on X in which I wonder if it is true. Now, you and I are old enough to remember this one, which next year will be 40 years. So you are going to get ready next year, folks. You are going to hear an awful lot about Jack and Triumph number 6. But was the 2025 Masters our 86 Masters? Just in terms of the drama, okay, emotion, even though Jack didn't show, he showed it, but he kept it together. The people around Jack were crying. Summerall and Venturi were getting emotional.
Well, I certainly thought Nance and Butler Cabin showed as much emotion as I've ever seen. Miller and Moulton.
I love my shower.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Abby, he just played in the AHL game, right, over the weekend? Right. I know that. That's why he played in the AHL, though. It'll be a tough coming. That's got to get your sea legs under you. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays in the playoffs.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. A reminder, David Sampson, Pat Gerwin, Seth Everett, all on the show tomorrow. One other note, Mark, before you take over. Did you see the, I don't know if it's news. It was media news. Reese Davis re-signed 7 years with ESPN.
And I wasn't paying attention to this, but apparently Fox pushed all their chips in, trying to get Reese to move over to Fox and do their pregame show. So, Fowler did it for years before Reese took over. We're kind of used to game day with the host. I think that's a good keep for ESPN, if you know what I mean.
Apparently, Fox offered more than what he got from ESPN. But yes, and Fox was also going to make him in charge of World Cup. He was going to host that. And yeah, college football. And then I think they were going to try to have him do some play-by-play of college hoop, I think. So, but Reese Davis stays at ESPN at least through this. I think Reese is 59. So I don't know how many more contracts he's going to do, but
the other one we haven't mentioned today, and there's been a lot to talk about. We may get into it a little more tomorrow. We don't spend a lot of time talking women's sports, but Paige Becker's there signing the deal with the Unrivaled group. She'll make more in 1 year for Unrivaled than she will make for her entire first WNBA contract.
And the WNBA contract's a 4-year contract. And you're right, she will make more in 1 year in that, what's it, a 3-on-3 league?
Yes.
And she signed a 3-year contract with
Well, she gets an ownership stake in the league. I mean, it was a huge deal for her with that.
Right.
I know that the WNBA numbers are way up, largely because of Caitlin Clark, and I get it. I don't know what the desire is for a women's 3-on-3 league, but we'll see.
And the WNBA draft, is that tonight or tomorrow when Beckers goes number 1 to Dallas?
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Call them today, 427-3441. That's 239-427-3441, or go online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton for a 10% discount of your service. We start in 1828 today, when this guy named Noah Webster registers the copyright for a publication of the first American dictionary. 1865, Ford Theater in Washington. President Lincoln is shot in the head by John Wilkes Booth. He would die a day later. James Cash Penney, J.C. Penney, opens his first store today in Wyoming in 1902.
Really? It was Wyoming?
Yes.
That's interesting.
1910, President Taft begins the tradition of throwing the ceremonial first pitch on the opening day of baseball season. Today in 1912, the Titanic hits an iceberg. It wouldn't go too well for the Titanic after that. The Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck, published today in 1939. Motown, founded by Berry Gordy Jr. today in 1960, the same day that the Habitants won their 5th straight Stanley Cup title.
I was going to say, during that time, when didn't Les Habitants win the cup?
Bob Colby shoots a final round 66 for his only major title, winning the Masters today in 1968. One shot ahead of Roberto DiVincenzo, who signed his scorecard incorrectly. 38th Master, Gary Player wins his second of 3 today in 74. 1980, For all you metalheads out there, Judas Priest released British Steel, had Living After Midnight and Breaking the Law on it, considered a landmark metal album. 1983, Bowie releases Let's Dance, his biggest album. It introduces guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan to a larger audience who played on that album. Longer wins in 85, 2 ahead of Ballesteros, Strange, and Floyd. Public Enemy released their second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, today in 1988. Woozy gets his in 91. Bill Nye the Science Guy debuts today in 93. Faldo wins his third today in 96. Metallica sues Napster today in 2000, denying all of us of all the free music we had been getting up until that point. It's amazing it took that long for an artist to sue Napster. And I love Napster. I was stealing everything. I couldn't get enough of that.
Totally with you.
2002, Tiger goes back to back. Adam Scott wins his first major in 2013. Today in 2016, Prince plays his last concert. The last song was Purple Rain. It was at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. He would die a week later. Beyonce headlines Coachella, the first black woman to headline the festival, today in 2018. 2019, Tiger wins his 5th as everybody crumbled around him. And Scheffler, a year ago, wins his 2nd Masters. Marvin Miller, big in the baseball union. Loretta Lynn and Pete Rose would have all celebrated birthdays today. Guitarist Richie Blackmore is 80. Greg Maddox and David Justice are both 59. The pride of Buena Vista High School, which no longer exists. Mark Macon is 56 years old today. Anderson Silva is 50. Sarah Michelle Gellar, 48. Baker Mayfield is 30. And Chase Young is 26. What did I miss, David?
Well, first off, you mentioned Maddox, and I will say the baseball geek in me. There's been a few Maddox documentaries and people telling stories about Maddox here in the last year or so. Have you heard some of these stories? All right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Staggering stuff. Okay. He's ordered by Bobby Cox to intentionally walk a guy. Okay. Leo Mazzoni comes out to tell him, okay, Bobby wants you to walk this guy. And Maddox goes, no, I'm going to get him out in 2 pitches. On the 2nd pitch, he's going to pop out the 3rd. Okay. And he just tells Leo, I'm not going to intentionally walk him. Leo goes back to the dugout. Bobby is screaming and yelling. 2nd pitch, he pops out the chipper and foul ground at 3rd. Okay. Then Eddie Perez, his catcher, tells the story about he throws a meatball to Bagwell in the middle of the summer, and Bagwell hits it a mile. And Perez is like, Greg, we went over the scouting report. We don't throw him anything inside. And Maddox says, they're good. We're good. We're going to meet them in the playoffs. I'm going to get in a spot. He's going to look for that very pitch again. He's never going to see it again in his life. Sure enough, playoffs, big spot, runners all over the pond, the whole deal. Maddox strikes him out on 3 pitches, all going low and away when Bagwell's waiting for that pitch to come inside. I'm sorry, just had a geek out there. One thing that you didn't bring up today. This happens very rarely. There was a tie at the Oscars today for Best Actress in 1969. Apparently, it's only happened like 3 times, and it's only happened one other time in like one of the actor or actresses categories. But of 3,030 eligible voting members, Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn, tied. Katharine Hepburn and Barbara Streisand tied for the Best Actress Oscar on this day in 1969.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Michigan for the good in a story that could have been beyond ugly. An infant child, well, a toddler, I guess, somehow got out of his house at night when temperatures were cold. And they couldn't find the kid. So they called the police. And the police got the drones with light gone. And 2 police officers with the drone took to the skies with infrared heat-seeking technology in hopes of detecting the toddler from above. In just 15 minutes of searching, the 2 men detected a small, white-hot figure in a ditch by the highway. In camera footage released by Michigan State Police, one of the troopers can be heard saying, "We got him." Fortunately, they were able to get the child, get him back home, and nothing bad happened. Temperatures sunk to below freezing that night, and obviously, had they not found the toddler, things would not have turned out the way that they did. For the bad, we go to the gritty streets of Bonita Springs. And I'm really upset I still don't live on this street. It happened on a street I used to live on, David, on Carolina Street in Bonita Springs. A woman entered a home under the pretense of religious reasons. 2 accomplices distracted the homeowner, pretending to be part of a religious group. The woman stole $3,500 in jewelry and an unknown amount of cash before escaping through a side door and fleeing in a white vehicle. Crime Stoppers is on the lookout for this trio of religious robbers. I would never let anybody in my home. Ever. Finally, the ugly. We go to Walmart in Louisiana, where 4 men who dubbed themselves the Cutthroat Cowboys were charged with a few crimes after the 4 of them invaded a Walmart on horseback. You can hear a woman on the video go, "Oh, hell no," as the 4 made it through the Walmart. Police were called. 2 of the riders turned themselves into police after warrants were issued. The other 2 surrendered the next day. The one lawbreaker said, "It was fun. We were famous. That's all. Just something to do." That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Monday, April the 14th, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, no NBA. Regular season's over. 2 play-in games tomorrow. 6 hockey games tonight. It is the final week, half week, if you will, of the NHL regular season. Panthers in action. They are hosting the Rangers. They're 2 points behind the Lightning, trying to improve their playoff positioning, where maybe the Panthers would have home ice in that series. Right now, the Lightning have the edge and would have home ice in the first round series. The Canadiens can clinch a playoff spot tonight with a win against one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league, the Chicago Blackhawks, north of the border in Montreal. That's all that's standing between the Canadiens and a playoff spot. Can they beat the lowly Blackhawks? That's it. 6 games. There's a few others going on. Interesting, LA's in Edmonton to face the Oilers. LA's 2 points ahead of Edmonton. They're going to meet in the first round. It's just a matter of who's going to have home ice. Right now, LA has the 2-point advantage, but Edmonton with a regulation win tonight could tie things up. LA also has a game in hand.
A little bit of a break for the Lightning. The Panthers play tonight against the Rangers. They play tomorrow against the Lightning. As those 2 are battling for who will have home ice, more than likely, it seems as if Toronto, they need 1 more point to win that division. So we'll see if the scheduling quirk helps the Lightning out tomorrow night.
10 Major League Baseball games. They are all this evening. Rays are hosting the Red Sox at Steinbrenner Field. This is like a 13-game homestand for the Rays. The Marlins, I believe, are off tonight. An interesting series is Cubs and Padres, considering the two teams combined are 24-10 and both in first. So,
particularly after the Cubs took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend.
yes. And another interesting series, the Giants in Philadelphia, after having just taken 2 out of 3 in the Bronx from the Yankees, taking on the Phillies, who are scuffling a bit for them.
Giants off to an unbelievable 11-4 start. I mean, the Dodgers are 11-6. They're in third place in their division. The West is off to an unreal start. I mean, the Diamondbacks, 2 games over 500 as well. Great show for you tomorrow. Seth Everett, Pat Kerwin, and David Sampson. Enjoy your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow at 6.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. Great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.